Okay, we'll call the Monday, January 21st, regular city council meeting to order. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Alderman Putoff. Here. Ferrari. Here. Waldorf. Here. Precocious. Here. Radke. Here. Sapienza. Here. Payton. Here. Ballard. Mayor Harrell.
Here, all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, public comment under the new public comment that we passed a few weeks back. Mr. Geese, but you crossed your name off for the time being, right? Okay, Ms. Eister, CVS.
Good evening, Julie Eister. With regard to the CVS building, which was supposed to be the future home of the police department, I have some concerns because I came across a listing for that property for sale. And that's the first I've heard of it, and I've been at almost, I think, every shared services meeting, I think except for one, in the last year. For instance, in October, on 10/30 of 18, there was a meeting wherein, the shared services meeting, wherein Mayor Harrell was giving the hard sell to LaSalle, like, we need a commitment for the CVS building, we need a commitment, it's a very valuable piece of property. To which Mayor Grove asked, well, should we be looking at a different site? At which time Mayor Harrell reassured him, no, you know, the CVS site is still available. Then, less than a month later, at 11/26, a real estate listing is created by Cantrell and Morgan, offering that property for sale. The next day, there's another shared services meeting, and it's not mentioned to the city of LaSalle or anyone else in attendance that the city of Peru is now trying to sell the property that was supposed to be the future site of the police department, which I don't know if they were just entertaining offers on the property, but to me, that would seem, you know, disingenuous to be in negotiations and wasting people's time coming to shared services meetings between LaSalle and Peru if, you know, we're going ahead with the notion that the shared services police station is going to be at CVS, and now the city of Peru is selling it and doesn't tell anybody that, and then we're going to just wait till it's sold and then say, oh, by the way, we have to find another location, when we've had meetings, and there was even night meetings, many of us were in attendance, when the site could have been IBCC or the CVS building. So at this point in time, I don't know what the future of the CVS building is, because until the listing popped up last Friday and I was made aware of it, like I said, even though I've been at every meeting and I've been at many of the city council meetings, it's never been discussed. And I would just like some information, or I think that the council, or at least those members that are on the shared services committee, need to provide the other members of shared services with information with regarding that site, as well as the community, because for a year, it's been, this is going to be the future site, we picked the site, and now all of a sudden, the city of Peru is selling that property. And I think an explanation is owed not only to the members of the shared services, but also to members of the community. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Mazak, you have down ice rink. I don't know if you want to say anything now or at the end, or...
I just wanted to say the ice rink is up and running, and it was very nice. I spoke with the man who organized it, Anthony, not sure how to say his last name. Annabelli. And he said the chillers for the ice rink is going to cost like $400,000, and the boards will be about $50,000. And having experience trying to raise money for the swimming pool, raising $400,000 is going to take a long time. He may not know that yet, and maybe it'll go better for him than it did for the swimming pool. But I would like the council to consider donating $400,000 or giving $400,000 for that project, like was done for last year. Or if you can't do that, then the $50,000 for the board. Thanks.
Okay, then Mr. Reardon, you have down fundraiser. I don't know if you want to say it, talk now or at the end. Do we have another one on the...
Wednesday night at Rice Price is the fundraiser that we had for Lisa Brothers Auto Repair, 4 to 9 at Rice Price. Ticket special. We got lots of raffles. I got tickets. Anyone wants to buy any tickets? No, after that goes right to the Lease Brothers.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on, do we have a motion to receive the minutes and place on file?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, is there any discussion? All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Do we have a motion to receive the finance reports and place on file?
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second, is there any discussion? All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Do I have a motion to receive the activity reports and place on file?
So moved, Your Honor.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. We'll move on to committee reports, Finance Safety Services, Chairman Putoff.
Alderman Radke, would you lead us through disbursements tonight, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Total disbursements as presented are, to be paid on January 23rd, 2019 are $2,571,167.60. I move this report be received, placed on file, the bills paid in the usual manner. I'll second that.
A motion is second, receive disbursements, place on file, and pay the bills in the usual manner. Any discussion?
Yes, Your Honor. One of the largest expenses in this set of disbursements would be the TIP reimbursements from our 3 TIPs that we pay once a year. That totals about $650,000, which is why this is a little elevated from what we would normally spend. Those are reimbursements back to the various taxing bodies and people who develop property in the TIPs.
Anybody else? We'll have a roll call. Call the roll, please.
Alderman Putoff. Aye. Ferrari. Aye. Waldorf. Precocious. Radke. Sapienza. Peyton.
Motion approved.
Tonight, we have a motion to execute a highly enhanced loss prevention participation program agreement with the IPRF. Kim Reese, would you tell us a little bit about that program?
Sure. It's a highly enhanced loss prevention program that they've urged the city into participating in. Most of it, they were actually very pleased. We are already performing, such as a very well-run safety committee meeting. We have almost all the policies and practices in place. We have monthly safety meetings for all of our departments, so we're already performing very well. We just need to conduct a few more things, such as a slip, trips, and fall policy, which we already have a draft of that, and then we'll ask to have that approved through resolution, and as well as a return to work written policy. We already have a practice in place, but we'll have that in writing, and then we will be complete on that.
I appreciate that, and I think the council does too, because naturally, this will pay for in dollars because we will receive types of grants by doing these risk programs, and of course, the city will benefit from that.
Sure. In addition to the grants, we would also receive a rebate in premiums equivalent to 10%.
And at a 10% off of premiums, that's an enormous savings for the city.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Tonight, we have a motion to approve a $1,000 donation to the...
We need to do a roll call vote for the highly enhanced loss prevention. Mayor?
Do we
Yeah,
have a
well-
second? We need a second.
Yeah, Alderman Putoff made the motion. Where's the second? Any discussion on it? Here, we'll have a roll call. Quick call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari. Aye. Waldorf. Precocious. Radke. Sapienza. Peyton.
Motion approved.
We also have a motion tonight to approve a $1,000 donation to the Illinois Valley Rotters for the annual car show and cruise. Typically, this car show will be held at Centennial Park. The Illinois Valley Rotters take care of all the incidentals for the city. They will use that $1,000 donation for publicity, and in turn, all of their proceeds go back to the CSO, which will use those proceeds for decorations and things for the city of Peru. Mike or Tony, you're members of the CSO. Is there anything you wanted to add to that?
I think you explained it pretty well.
So there is a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Have a roll call. Call roll, please.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari. Aye. Waldorf. Precocious. Radke. Sapienza. Peyton.
Motion approved.
You want to do this? Motion to approve a $1,000 donation to Baker Lake Kids Fishing Expo at Baker Lake.
Second it, Your Honor.
Have a motion, second, to approve $1,000 donation to Baker Lake Kids Fishing Expo.
That always has a lot of kids. They have a great deal of fun at it, and it's held in Peru at Baker Lake.
Any discussion? Have a roll call, clerk call roll, please.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Prokosius.
Aye.
Radke. Sapienza. Payton.
Motion approved.
Last one, we have a motion to approve a $250 donation to the Voluntary Action Center Meals on Wheels program. This has been something that has helped a great deal of people in our community, as well as the city of Peru. It is something that the city has supported in the past. So I'm making that a motion today.
Have a motion and a second to approve $250 donation to Voluntary Action Center Meals on Wheels. Is there any discussion?
Does anyone know, I heard that the Meals on Wheels during the budget crisis had lost some funding, that the budget now is resolved, I think, in Springfield, or it's been resolved. Does anyone know if they're still having any issue with that?
There's a couple different programs, Mike, on it, both at a federal level and then additional programs. I don't know of any of our community that they have cut off any dollars funding that yet, but I do know that's always a negotiating point in Washington.
Anybody else? Okay, we'll have a roll call, clerk call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf. Prokosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza. Payton.
Motion approved. Anything further?
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll move Public Services, Chairman Waldorf.
Yes, Your Honor. Alderman Prokosius, please.
Yes, tonight I'd like to make a motion to seek a request for proposals for the former CBS property.
I will second that.
Have a motion, a second, to seek request for proposals for the former CVS property. Is there any discussion? Have a roll call, clerk call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Prokosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza. Payton.
Motion approved.
Next, Your Honor, I would like to make a motion to authorize the mayor and the city clerk to execute an IDOT highway permit for installation of a decorative clock located at 1901 4th Street.
I'll second that.
Have a motion, a second, to authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute IDOT highway permit for installation of a decorative clock located at 1901 4th Street. Is there any discussion? We'll have a roll call. I'm not
Mayor, you want
gonna...
to update us on the clock? And
You're not ready to do that at the time?
Yeah, I'd rather wait till we take delivery of it and unveil it all at the same time. It's a donation, it's a beautiful timepiece that'll be out in front of City Hall, and I'd rather unveil it all at once,
Thank you.
so. Is there any other discussion? Okay, we'll have roll call, clerk call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Prokosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza. Payton.
Motion approved.
Next, Your Honor, I have a resolution to allow the installation of a decorative clock located at 1901 4th Street.
I'll second that.
Have a motion, a second, is there any discussion? Where it's going to go, you know, I will say that, is if you go out the front doors of City Hall and just look off to your right, there's a light post. We'll be removing the light post and putting in this decorative clock. Engineer Eric Carls submitted the paperwork to Department of Transportation, and they okayed it. So that's what we're doing here. So it'll be pretty nice. We're looking at sometime May, June, something like that, once the weather's nice. So, any other questions? Have a roll call, clerk call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Prokosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza. Payton.
Motion approved.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute an engineering services agreement with Chamlin and Associates Incorporated for landfill number 2 study.
I will second that, Your Honor.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor, is there a not-to-exceed number?
There is, I can provide that. Not to exceed on this is $36,200. The bulk of that contract is for the study on the leachate discharge system. As everybody on the council knows, we've got a series of landfills. We've been working through closure over the past several years. We were successful with closing landfill 3 last year, 18 months ago. We're down to our final landfill for closure, which is landfill 2. We coordinate annually with EPA on what guidelines they would like us to follow and additional testing at the landfill in order for us to move closer to closure. And right now, the largest part of this is, again, collecting data and coming up with a preliminary study on that leachate discharge. So we're making sure that there's no leaks in the liner, basically. So that's where we're at. So we'll move forward over the course of the next year. We'll continue this. We'll make a submittal to EPA, and hopefully we're inching closer to closure of our final landfill.
Hopefully it's not inching, it's feet for a while. Any further discussion? Have a roll call, quick call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Prokosius. Radke. Sapienza. Payton.
Motion approved.
Chief Byrne, do you have anything? I do not. Chief King? All right, that's all from Public Services, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, Clerk Bartley, do you have the inducement resolution?
Yes, Your Honor. Do you want to go ahead with the motion under new
Right.
business prior to that action?
Right, do we have a motion to, City of Peru, Illinois proposed Peru Mall TIF District inducement resolution?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor.
You want me to read any of that, Your Honor? Would you like it to read any of it?
You can pick out a couple high points in it. Most of it's pretty-
Whereas pursuant to the Tax Increment Allocation Redevelopment Act, as amended, the city, a home rule authority, has the authority to provide incentives to owners and prospective owners of real property to develop, redevelop, rehabilitate, market, and or upgrade such property by reimbursing the owner of certain costs using tax increment as that term is defined in the act. So that's, in regards to the mall property.
Your Honor, I'd just like to point out, I think this is real positive news for the city of Peru that the mall is working towards redevelopment, and there are a number of factors we hear from confidential that they're truly interested, they're investing, and it will be something that will be positive for our city.
Yes, Economic Director Bob Vickery and myself were up there Tuesday, whatever Tuesday was, the 15th, and we sat with them. There's non-disclosure agreement signed, and so there's no emails, there's no U.S. postal mail. There's just there's conferences, face-to-face conferences at their office in Chicago. I will say, they were very upbeat, and they said they're ready to start moving on this. So we have a timeline on when they need to start moving on their TIF. So they'll probably start with Joint Review Board sometime in early April, and things are happening there. As we've said quite a few times before, we've been meeting with them 3 and 4 times a year for quite some time now, and everything takes time. Everything seems like cycles seem to be 3 to 5 years for pretty much everything that Mr. Vickery and I have approached. And so we're going on 4 or 5 years. We've had quite a few good discussions with potential investors at the mall, at ICSC spring and fall convention. So they were very upbeat when we were up there last Tuesday, and said time to move. So that's what we're doing tonight by passing this inducement resolution. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion on it? Do we have a roll call, clerk call roll?
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf. Lukosius. Radke. Sapienza. Payton.
Motion approved.
Next, Your Honor, we have an ordinance authorizing the purchase of approximately 70.61 acres on May Road, Peru, Illinois, LaSalle County property identification numbers 1133315000 and 1133401000. Purchase price is $1,267,800, which equates to $17,955 an acre.
Your Honor, I make a motion that this be approved.
Second, Your Honor.
I have a motion by Alderman Payton and a second by Alderman Waldorf. I'm sorry, Alderman Putoff. Any discussion?
Yes, Your Honor, I think it's important to note that this purchase will be paid for out of reserve funds from the city of Peru. There will be no debt incurred by the city for the purchase of this property. It's another ingredient or investment for Peru's future, and certainly part of the long-range economic development plan for the city of Peru. And again, we've heard some very positive points from economic development, and certainly a worthwhile venture for the city of Peru.
This is a piece of property that we've talked about for 5 to 7 years now. When we first started talking about it and approached the landowner in the trust, it was $70,000 an acre, so it was, right at $5 million. So you've been keeping your eye on it, and just the other day when it dropped down to $19,995, we decided to look at it, and by deciding, I made phone calls one-on-one with all 8 aldermen, and had a positive feedback on it, so we went ahead and moved on it, and the price ended up being $17,955. So from 70 to 17,955, they don't make land anymore. And if you need some numbers from our finance officer, with the interest rates as low as what they've been, they've spiked a little bit here lately, but the interest rates as low as what they've been, you're better off with the property to cash rent the farm. And we're going to have property now that it's in a good area. With the retail area that's north of where this property is, it's a good area, and there is interest in it. But like I said, things are usually 3 to 5 years. But in the meantime, you'll be cash renting it, and we're paying cash for it. There's no debt to anybody in the city of Peru. It's money that's sitting in the bank, and you're going to be receiving pretty much the same money, if not better at times, depending on what the interest rates do. Maybe a little less at times, but it's a good move. We firmly believe that it's a good move. We have 280 surplus acres at the airport that we sharecrop out. We have 35 acres at the cemetery for future cemetery expansion, and the airport property has been there for a while, and the cemetery property has been there for a while, and you're sharecropping out, but you have for a purpose for the future. So that's what we're doing. We're looking at the future. When I came in here, there was things that you didn't know about what happened in here, but as you've been here for a while, now you see what happened with your predecessors, your consuls and your mayor, and there's many decisions that were made that we're really happy today that we're able to exercise what we can with the decisions that they made previously. So if something doesn't happen while myself or any of the council members are here, it'll always be there. So it's a good move for the city of Peru.
And it's simple from a taxpayer standpoint. Is the investment, when you're looking at those areas we talked about, CVS or this purchase here, when you're looking at those areas, paying those off or being able to reach out to retail development, that keeps our tax rates low, and it brings dollars back into your homeowners' pockets, and certainly that's what the economic program of the city of Peru is somewhat about, is looking for those retail tax dollars and providing jobs for our community members.
And if I can add one thing, this investment fits right in our wheelhouse for safety, security, and the long-term survival of Peru, using our reserve funds. This is an asset that will appreciate over time.
The CVS property was mentioned at the beginning in the public comment. The CVS property at one time was listed at $1.4 million. It went to $1.2 million. The CVS property division had a private real estate firm hired to market that property. That private real estate firm hired a local real estate firm, so you needed to go through quite a few layers. So with the help of others, you were finally able to find out who you needed to talk to the person with CVS. And when we found that out and made our plea to them on what we wanted to do with it and what the potential for the property was, and they wanted to clear their books. They were very explicit that they wanted to clear their books, and that's when we offered CVS $100,000 and they wanted 1.4, and they were advertising at the, at the ladder of 1.2 million. But we offered them 100,000 and told them why, and why was at 100,000, and with the demolition costs that we were expecting, you would be at your $600,000, and that's what we're at. And in the we're going to market that on the request for proposals with a minimum of 550. I'm a little bit off track here, but I'm just going on. I wanted to expand on the public comment that there was. There's nothing in any of the contracts that were put out that it must be on either on the CVS City of Peru side or on the City of Peru Shared Services side. There's nothing in the contracts that say that that we're bound to anything.
And the other point, Your Honor, it's a request for a proposal. That doesn't mean there's a for sale sign up and anybody that comes in and says, I'd like to give you so much money to buy the land. The city has control, and we will maintain control on that. The proposal simply means is if you have something to put there that may be retail, some type of development that would fall in line with our economic development plan, then that's something we could look forward to with that minimum price. But it's not for sale for just anybody coming off the street and saying, hey, I want to give you $550,000 because it's a good investment. The city wants something back in that, and we control that. So that's the other key point with that.
All right, so those are just a few of the land that we've taken on lately. So they're good moves, and they're good for the city of Peru, and they'll be good for years to come. And because of the interest, I'm still back on the CVS. I'm still off track a little bit here. In the interest that has come in for the CVS property, you can't just hand it over to somebody. So that's why we're asking for a request for proposals. We did it at the former Holiday Inn / King's Inn property. We did it at the former Howard Johnson / Econo Lodge property, and now there's going to be a new hotel on one of them, on the former Holiday Inn King's Inn property. So it's good for Peru. Property taxes raise DAV, so it's good for Peru. But getting back on track, the ordinance, we have a motion and a second for the purchase of the approximately 70.61 acres on May Road. Is there any further
I was
discussion?
just going to add, Your Honor, you kind of went through some of the history there, but, the city's made these types of investments in the past. I think the city bought the rail.
Right.
I don't know, somewhere in the 90s, maybe. The city bought the rail for something like $325,000. I think at the time, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, the city bought the rail with no customers on it, even.
Right.
If I'm not wrong. And then the city recently sold the rail for well over $1 million. So, that investment paid off. These types of investments will pay off for the city for sure in the same manner.
Well, when we sold it for $1 million, that was, I think it was $1.2 million, but anyway, that was because there was a purpose for it. We wouldn't have sold it if there wasn't a purpose for it. There was a purpose for it, and the purpose was, you can see it up right now, the expansion of the sand facility, and the expansion and the rebuild that's coming of the rail. The sand facility expansion is, what is it, Eric? 99 jobs that came out of that.
Yeah.
They're not all at that facility, but
Facilities.
right.
The city's, and we're not in the real estate business. What the city does is, it's a development program. That's basically what it is. It's not a real estate buy low and sell high. We're in an actual development program of things that can certainly help our future for the city of Peru and our current situation too.
Yeah, the rail is a good example, Mike. We've had a really good private-public partnership there once we made that sale, and we've been very successful in advancing the quality of that rail and receiving recently some grant money, and working with the rail to even expand that further, which makes the city of Peru even more attractive for industrial manufacturing type development. So that has been a positive since we've moved forward from that.
Well, the one positive is the grant that we received, $4.5 million grant, and we're going to put in a new road, the extension of Unitite Drive from Donlar Avenue over to Plank Road, to open up that corridor. So then you have people asking about distribution areas up there. So a lot of things happening. So there is a method to what we're doing. So anyway, we still have a motion and a motion by Alderman Poff, a second by Alderman Waldorf, to purchase the 70.61 acres. Ready? Okay, we'll have a roll call vote. Clerk call roll, please.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza. Payton.
Aye.
Motion approved. What's that? Nothing further? Okay, do we have any proclamations? No proclamations? Unfinished business? Okay, new business. I'm asking for a motion to appoint Jacob McLean as special counsel to represent the city in the proposed Peru Mall TIF district. So what that is Herb, who we've worked with, Jacob McLean has the TIFs that are in Peru, and we've worked with Herb, and we need him here for our consultant with this GK Mall TIF that's coming. They have their own attorney, and we just needed somebody for consulting. So that's what this is. So do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Have a roll call, quick call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius. Radke. Sapienza. Payton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Motion approved. Any communications?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Public comment? Any public comment?
Touching back on the CBS issue, tonight you approved a motion for proposal for the CBS property, but it's been listed for sale for several months now. So it's kind of like you do something, and then when you get caught doing it, then you go back and backpedal. Well, there's a listing I have, it's on GoDaddy.
It's never been listed.
Well, then somebody's listing for his properties for sale.
It's not listed, Judy.
So,
If it's listed, it'll come to the city council.
well, that's what I had sent a FOIA request for any listing
Yeah, there
agreement.
is no listing.
So,
There
but there's
never
a
has
listing.
been.
Okay.
They are very presumptuous.
Well, one is public comment. Two, there is a listing with a real estate firm. The listing was back in, I believe it was November. So now we're 2 months later, and now we're doing proposals for the proposed CDS. Additionally, touching on what you said, what Mayor Harrell said with regard to, there's no stipulation in the actual sales contract between CBS and the City of Peru. However, if the City of Peru approaches a seller of property and makes the representation that chances are they're going to use it for their own personal use, they're going to use it for the police station, because I don't think if when the city proposed to CVS, we're going to buy this property, tear it down, and then we're going to develop it and sell it to a developer, CVS would have gave the city such a great deal. If I were the attorney for CVS, I would wait to see what that property sells for. And if it sells for considerably more than what you have into it, I would make some sort of claim for fraud. Because now you're basically taking the position CVS could have had, but you told them, we're going to use it for our police station, now we decide not to, now we're going to resell it. I have issues with that. Secondly, just when I thought that this council and the city couldn't get less transparent than it already was, now we have the city purchasing 70 acres, $1.2 million. And the contracts were signed on 1/16. 5 days later, on 1/21, it's before the council. It's never been discussed at any recent city council meeting. And then all of a sudden, to explain your actions, it's, well, I, Mayor Harrell, have contacted each alderman individually. Well, then why do you even have open meetings? You might as well just do away with it. It can just be you as a nucleus reaching out to everyone and discussing everything in private, and then we'll just come in here and vote on things. To me, that absolutely is the opposite of the purpose of the Open Meetings Act and for clear and transparent government. And in this particular situation, it's appalling that now the city is spending over $1 million based upon phone calls between the mayor and the alderman and no public discussion on the topic. It's never been on any agenda other than tonight. And to me, I think that is showing that the Peru City Council and the government is getting less and less transparent the more people are watching. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? No, I don't, no, there's no need for it. Okay, no other public comment, closed session?
Mayor?
No?
Mayor, can I be included in
Yes.
public comment?
Yes.
going to ask or speak of, and if anybody wants to say something, please say it, because I could be off on some of these things. On the Peru Mall, and they are going to be included in the TIF, but much of the Peru Mall's fault was their own fault of the success of it, of their management, the way it was managed. One of the things in our area, the rent was too high. Secondly, they, my understanding, they wanted a certain percent of each business's net. And third, they put very little back into the mall for reinvestment, remodeling, updating. Some of the things that a mall has to do, they didn't do, and luckily, they lived off that we were within a certain mileage of a very good-sized population for a town of 10,000. We draw a big population. At times I've wondered if we've exhausted ourselves for retail sales and on the mall. I think they have to do a little bit more themselves also. And by that I'm speaking of the management. I don't know if the same developer is still the owner. I think he came from Indianapolis, the one I'm thinking of, and I might be wrong there. But I think they have a certain commitment to put forth towards the city of Peru and try to make it more successful. When I can remember when you went to the mall at Christmas time and that, it was packed, and there were people carrying bags. They had bought things. So I just feel they have to put a little bit more back into it than they did. And I'm not saying that it's up to us to go out and do it for them or to tell them what to do. But since right now we're at a point where they want to take down, they want to be in a TIF, and they also probably have the buildings empty enough now that they're correctly going to go for lower tax amount of tax money that they're going to pay them. Well, the way it is, I don't blame them, because they don't have much out there as far as they've given up their rent and everything. They've lost probably a lot of money, but I just think that they have to do a little bit better themselves. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Geese. Anybody else? Okay, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Meeting adjourned.